In this video, we're going to look at following up sales during COVID-19. Hi, I'm Matt Elwell of the Elite Closing Academy, and in this video we're going to look at how do you follow up sales during the COVID season. So I think the first thing for us to all agree on is during the months of April, May, June, it's like absolutely 100% definite that this has been an absolute monster, and our heart goes out to the many hundreds of thousands of people now around the world who've sadly passed because of this terrible disease. And the thing I suppose that we have to do first and foremost is to nod our cap to our loved ones, to make sure that those closest to us are safe. The next thing that we all know is that whether we like it or not, the show must go on. What we have to do as salespeople and as elite closers is continue to act and to work from a place of love, from our values, from within really. We have to love and understand and respect that this thing's been tough, and at the same time find a balance to move forward and to grease the wheels of business, and to make sure that those that need us, those that had already come towards us in the past, are still given every opportunity to work with us. So the first thing you've got to do is remember that, I have a system called the 5 F's for following up. The first thing you've got to do is you've got to get a feel for all the facts. And when it comes to following up, there's a few really important things around the world that you need to know. On average, around the world, it takes between 5 and 12 contact points from the first time somebody came towards you, clicked on something, saw you speak, popped into the shop, rang you, whatever it might be. You've got to know that from that first time, it takes a minimum, on average, of between 5 and 12. That's the sweet spot. Contacts, people looking into your information, having conversations, negotiation, whatever it is, whatever your contact points are, it takes a minimum 5 to 12 on average before somebody is in the sweet spot, ready to make a logical and emotional decision and go for it and put their trust in your product or service and invest time, money and energy in you. So that's the first fact you've got to have in your mind. So the next time you don't follow up, ask yourself, well, how many times have we actually had a contact? And if it's not at least 5, get on the phone. Don't send an email, ring them. Find a way of following them up. That's the first thing. A few other facts as well. Nearly half, 48%, of businesses never, ever, ever follow up. And the attitude is very much like, hey, if they want it, they'll come and find me. Like, hey, stop it if that's you. Get it, understand where you're at. And also, I don't get it. If somebody's gone cold on you because they didn't come back to you, it's actually the other way around. You've got cold on them. So it's your duty really to make sure that you're someone that does follow up at least 5 times minimum from the first point of contact. It's critical. Don't be in the 48%. Be in the 52% that goes towards people. So that's important. Once you've got some of the facts, you can start to focus in on the sort of next step that you need to take, the logical next step in your follow-up, and decide what you should do. And by the way, the computer phone is like, you can send a video via WhatsApp, you can send them WhatsApp, you could send them a book, you could send them some information, a link. There's so many things you can do, and you've got to focus in, once you've overcome or reminded yourself of the fact, you've got to focus on what action you want to take, and you've got to make sure you overcome any fears that you might have of following up. Now, just remember, it's not possible to be arrested. There are no, would it be okay for me to follow up police? You're not going to get arrested for going towards somebody that needs or wants what you do. And the way I focus on this is, remember, when you're in total service, when you're in service to somebody else, it's not possible to upset them. As long as you've got the right energy, as long as you're moving towards them from a place of love, trying to simply find out, hey, we put some figures together, I want to know exactly, more importantly, not what you think of them, but when we're going to get started so that we can start getting that result that we both know you want. It's so important for you to move towards people from a place of love and in service, and to overcome any assumptions around all the reasons why you shouldn't. Like, no one's ever moaned at me. As long as they needed or wanted what I did, they've never, ever moaned at me for simply professionally following up. That's all it is. It's a professional follow-up, and it's critical. It remains sort of like our number one duty really, to go towards somebody that showed interest. I call it sweet and sour. Again, just last week, 2 weeks ago in my live training, this shows up all the time. How many times should we get back to people? As I say, there are no is it okay to get back to people police. And the next time you think that, go to the nearest window and look outside. There'll be nobody there to arrest you. You can crack on. So now it's time to be fruitful about how you make your approach. Don't just email. Don't just send one email and hope they get it. That's not enough. That's not going to wash in 2020, in this century that we're in. Like, people are ultra busy, got stuff going on. Like, you've got to be at the top of their chart. You've got to be the top of their inbox. You've got to be in the conversation they're having in their mind. You need to be in there, and the way you do that is by being consistent and persistent and professional, but not being a nose. You can't be annoying, because when you're annoying, people push you away, and that's not what we're trying to be. We are trying to be purposeful, professional, and persistent. We're not trying, we are purposeful, professional, and persistent as elite closers. And the way to have that is to make sure that people put their hand up so they want and need what you do. So be fruitful, think outside the box, send a handwritten note if they haven't got hold of you. Infiltrate the company and find the PA that looks after the diary of the person you're trying to get hold of. If they've gone quiet, don't go quiet on them. Be the opposite. Be fruitful in your follow-up and think of what actions you can take to follow it up and to make a contact point, knowing that 5 to 12 is the sweet spot. And then the last thing is, you've got to get like super clear and formulate your plan of action. So just having one aspect of a follow-up is no good. As I've just said, it's no good to you. You've got to have a consistent follow-up. You've got to have a multi-targeted follow-up, an online follow-up, an offline follow-up. When was the last time you just showed up to the reception of a building that you've recently put together a written proposal and said, hey, I sent a written proposal recently. I'd like to speak to the person that actually decides that I sent the, where are they? Get them down here. Let's talk. Like, that is an option. That is an option available to you. So my advice is, if somebody's gone cold on you due to COVID-19, then actually it's your duty to make sure that you go back towards them. You've gone cold on them, not the other way around. So follow those 5 very simple steps. Get all the facts right. Make sure that you focus in on what you can do rather than what you can't do. Make sure that you get rid of all your fears and assumptions. Be really fruitful in the way you follow up, and then formulate a plan to make sure that you have that conversation and find out exactly what's next and how you move forwards. If you've enjoyed that video, then there's a few things you've got to do. Subscribe to the channel, ping the notification bell, and click on the link below about my brand new book called Open with a Close, which is a 12-step system to making more sales. Go ahead, click on the link to get your free copy.